All right. Happy Monday night. Happy Monday night rolling out and happy Monday night YouTube and welcome to Reality Check. We are back with another edition of Ready to Love. I hope you guys had a much better day than I have. I have had a very trying day today, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm here with you all and we have one of the most beautiful ladies from Ready to Love Miami. So you know it's going to be a good night. So welcome. Make sure that you guys tell a friend, like, share, and subscribe this broadcast. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and share it now. Don't wait. Go ahead and share it because trust me, people are going to want to hear from this lady that we have joining us tonight because she's one of the cast from Miami. And you guys know, I feel like Miami has been the most authentic cast ever. If you watched earlier, you know, we do a recap on OWN's YouTube channel, myself and Kojo, and we talked about the last episode that aired on Friday. And, the young lady that's joining us tonight, she gave one of the most gracious exits there was. And I'm all about a gracious exit. So please help me welcome the very beautiful Lunie Ford. Hey, Lunie. How are you?
I am great, fantastic. I appreciate that. Excellent exits. Yes.
Yes, I mean you have to exit with grace, right? Because otherwise, it's kind of like to me how you react to hard times shows us your real character, right? That true
Amen.
underneath all that. So first of all, I'm going to start tonight's broadcast by saying you handled yourself beautifully. It was actually the entire time you were on the show, but especially that exit, I was like, yes, absolutely, graceful, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Were
Oh,
you expecting to go when you got the date?
I firstly I appreciate that, and secondly, absolutely. At that point, I was ready to go, and I definitely expected it. That's what I will say.
Okay, okay. I figured, yes, Amy says that Looney is breathtaking. She's beautiful. I mean, this cast, you guys, it's a lot of beautiful women, obviously a lot of good-looking guys. And it's in Miami. And I was telling, like I said before, we brought you in, this cast to me is one of the most authentic because people are really saying what they think, right? When you've seen seasons before, people will, kind of play around a little bit or try to play the game or try to strategize, but it's like y'all are really like going, if it isn't what it is, you're calling it out, is happening. So I
Yeah,
I love that. I love that.
that is facts. And one of the major things that I said, you know, at my elimination was like I can't be fake. Like I that's just something I can't do. I'm not gonna just pretend to make it to the end and all of that. If there's no real connection romantically anyway. There's definitely friendship connections that I made that I think are the romance was just not there. So
Okay, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Hey Mimi, hey Felicia, hey Amy, Kathy, welcome everybody. Let us know that you are here. It is important to make your presence known. So make sure you put an XO in the chat if you are watching. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, make sure that you share this so that everyone gets a chance to hear from Miss Looney, because people are watching. We want to know. Trust me, I have some questions I can't wait to get out. But before we get into that, let me ask you about the friendships with the ladies because that was one of the things that we've seen here. Hey, Sampson. Sampson's entered the chat. Um, um, but we've seen like there was a little bit of friction, not really as much as other seasons with the ladies, right? A couple of
mhm.
your castmates had some issues, but were you able to make friendships with any of the ladies? And if so, who and how did that go?
I was absolutely. I thought all of the ladies were beautiful, beautiful ladies, beautiful women.
Mhm.
And me and Brandy are super close. That's my dog.
Okay.
Uh, Jamala are super close. That's my dog.
Okay.
Lashes right there, bundle box. Yes. Uh, so we are definitely super cool. Kadian is another super cool girl as well. Me and Sherese were cool as well. Didn't really have any real beef, personal beef with Sherese. So I definitely some of the ladies I still am very close to now. So
Okay,
mhm.
that's nice. I like that. And you actually named some of the ladies that we see having some issues. So the fact that you were able to kind of, you know, be cool with everybody, I'm just saying. I'm just you name Katie and Sherese, and those are two that, from what we've seen from the edits, it seemed to be a little
Yeah,
rocky there, right?
yeah,
But
for sure.
that's cool. That's cool that you've been able to, and you did seem to have a personality that really seemed to be able to get along with most people, and I think that works well, on this type of show.
Definitely, definitely. I didn't, and for me, it was, I say this because it's true. That is definitely who I am. That's just my personality. I am love and light. Like I'm not about negativity and drama. It's just not my lane. I
Mhm.
steer clear from it. But, uh, you know, this is a Gemini, so I.
So basically, if it comes for you, the other twin will show up.
I'm just letting you know, okay? And it just so happened that I didn't have those type of issues on this show, but I also wasn't, in the same type of situation. So I don't know
Yeah.
what if I was.
Right. Well, but you know what? I feel like it's funny because a lot of people, PD says, I enjoyed watching Lunie. She wore a smile the entire time. And I think a lot of times people respond to the energy that you put out. A lot of people that are on this show, will later complain about editing. We hear that all the time. Well, it's edited. But it's funny because the people that don't have an issue, they never really have a problem with the editing. The editing is always an issue for
you know,
people that have problems, period.
no, it's true. It's true. And at the end of the day, this is what we signed up for. We signed up for this, and they have a job to do. The producers and production have a job to do. So they're gonna do their job. you
Mhm.
know, you kind of have to roll with the punches because this is what you signed up for. So
Absolutely.
some even if it's something I don't like, it is what it is. But I don't come for the production or the producers because editing just because I don't like how something was edited. I might talk about it in private, but I'm not private platform. I mean public platform and come for for the producers. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. And um everybody is, definitely is entering the chat. As you guys continue to enter the chat, make sure that you leave an XO so that myself and Looney knows that you're there. I
Yeah.
also really quickly want to let people know now we have a special giveaway that we're doing, not necessarily in Miami, but if you want to get to Florida, we get half of the way. We are doing a giveaway for Maxwell, Fantasia, and Joe tickets, which amazing. Like, okay, so Luna, you can get in on this too. All
Okay.
you have to do, all you have to do, Maxwell, Fantasia, and Joe are coming to Jacksonville, Florida for the night tour. I would love to have some of the Ready to Love Miami crew in the house, but we're giving away tickets. All you have to do is make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you hashtag in the comments tonight the night tour, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook. Hashtag the night tour and tell me which one of these artists is your favorite and why. I'm going to let you guys know I am a Joe fan all the way. I am a Joe fanatic. Who are you feeling out of those three? They're all amazing, but who's your favorite?
I mean, well, Joe and Maxwell that's a tough one. That's a
Yeah.
tough one. I'm gonna have to go with maybe. Dang, I'm gonna have to go with Joe too. I was
Man,
towards Maxwell, but
yeah. It's just something about that voice. But yeah, so you guys let me know. I'm going to ask you now. Mimi has asked a question for about LJ. I'm going to ask Louis that question, but I need some more X's and O's in the chat. You guys, please leave those X's and O's in the chat, and we're going to get into that. But let's start at the beginning, Looney, because we met you, and then you got sick and you were away for a while. So talk to us about the process. You come in, you go to this mixer, and you guys' mixer was all the way live. Everybody was looking good. The bodies were out. Everybody was showing what their mama gave them. And then you got sick. Did you catch COVID at the mixer?
yo, I don't know where I got COVID from. Like I was isolating everything. It was I have no idea how I caught COVID, but yeah, I got COVID right after that. I
Oh,
literally tested. It was weird too because we have to test daily. Like
yeah.
so to go to the mixer, I had to test negative, and I did. And then
Wow.
it was strange because it was like not the next day, but I think the very next day we were going to do the brunch, and
Mm-hmm.
I tested positive that day, and it was like, what the heck is going on? And I was out. I was out. And I think that definitely, I don't know if it necessarily mattered, in the long run for me personally, but I definitely felt like it impacted, my
Connections.
connections or anything that I might have wanted to possibly connect with.
I
So
was going to ask you that. Did you think, because how long were you out?
I was out for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So that is a long time. That is a long time. Now, before, because I got some questions about that, but let me ask you: when you came to the brunch, right? You come to the swim party. This is a mixer unlike any other beginning mixer because, like I said, everybody's showing what the mama gave them. Y'all are going hard. When you first got there, because physical attraction is the very first thing that we all are looking for is who am I attracted to? So whose eye or who were you looking at? Who caught your eye on that first mixer at the pool party? Who were you attracted to the most initially?
It was tough. Because I don't know if I necessarily have like a type per se,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't really sure it was at the mixer.
Okay.
Uh, Now I Justice definitely is attractive. I would say he was one that I felt like I was physically attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Sampson, maybe,
Okay.
uh, and maybe Mike as well. Yeah.
Now, it's okay when you say that because when you say maybe, I'm wondering because women, we know what we're attracted to, right? So were you on guard? Like, because what you look at, I'm just talking about the pure physical, not the conversation yet. We're going to get into that in a minute. But just the pure physical,
Mhm.
I can definitely see. I mean, Samson and Mike all kind of have that, I see that. It's a commonality there. Justice, his at first, it's like the first episode, most of the ladies were definitely attracted to Justice.
Mhm.
And then when you hear him speak, he definitely has that like baritone that's crazy, like that radio voice that makes you want it just wants to put you to sleep. but
As
but
that was
why
definitely.
did you say maybe? Why did you say maybe? Was it an initial attraction? Because I know when you got there, you had to be like, who are these guys gonna be?
I did. I was, but I mean, I say maybe because it was like I don't know if you've ever have you ever seen someone and you were like, like you just do a you know, when- like
Yeah.
that's kind of what the maybe was. It was like,
Okay.
ah, you know,
I could work with that. I could work with that. Under the
right,
right circumstances and situations, I could work with that.
exactly. It was like one
Okay.
of those situations. I feel like Mike was like that for me. Samson was like that for me. Not Justice though. Justice wasn't exactly like to me. I definitely thought he was attractive when I met him.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, you're not people in the chat are like, please don't say justice, but everybody liked justice initially. Like y'all,
Sorry, I'm not
every
sorry.
no, don't be sorry because everybody liked
Sorry,
justice.
not
Everybody did. Like that's just let's remember back then everybody was like justice was in everybody's top. So once you start having conversation, the conversation, whose conversation did you enjoy that first after that first mixer?
at the mixer. The conversation, I would say Justice. As and see, that's funny because people keep saying like, why does she keep saying Justice? Like
Yeah.
y'all don't see a lot of our conversations, and we had a date. Y'all don't see that. Like,
Tell us about that because I think I agree. People don't see. We only see. Chris said people don't stop lying about people liking Justice. I'm saying you guys on the first episode, a lot of women named Justice as being attractive. Come on now, they were. I'm not. Come on now, Miss Lady
you
Lynch. I'm just telling the truth.
might not like the man, but you can't call him ugly now. You
No,
can't.
he's not at all. I'm not gonna call him ugly at all. He's attractive, and like I said, his voice is amazing. I think we didn't get a chance to see what a lot of women saw because we definitely see that you guys did have a somewhat of a connection. So, can you tell us about what you saw in Justice and what, especially from that conversation that we didn't see? Because the conversations that we heard Justice had, we don't understand those conversations. We don't understand those conversations. So maybe let us in on what you enjoyed about his conversation because all we see him saying are things that he doesn't necessarily chase. When you saw the edit, so what did we not see? What are we missing about Justice?
I think you're not seeing the other side. You're seeing the rough exterior of, perhaps him being very guarded. Also perhaps not being very interested, and going through the motions or whatever of the process. So I think you see a lot of that, but I didn't receive a lot of that. So, for me, it was a very, very different experience. And I mentioned that a lot in the ladies' lounge. They don't really show that, but
Mhm.
I mentioned that a lot. Like, I'm not, somebody would say something and I'm like, well, he don't talk to me like that. Or
Yeah.
somebody would say something and I'm like, well, I haven't experienced that, or, whatever the case. So it's just, you don't get to see the other side of justice, which,
Mhm.
he's multi, you know, faceted in his
Multifaceted.
ability to, do different things. So, he does have that abrasive, personality as well. But
Yeah.
I think the good thing about, this journey and just him, being open to the journey, I think he recognizes, that his delivery can be a little off.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this about him, and then I want to go into. I actually do have a couple of questions about LJ because I remember that I thought it was so cute that LJ was like calling and checking on you. But let me ask about Justice, because one of the questions that we had is, did you get the feeling that he really wanted to find love, that he really wanted to be there? Because from the conversation that we see, he's like, I'm not really into chasing and whatever, if they pick and it's me, if it's not, so when he was talking to you, did you get the feeling that he truly was interested in the process, period, beyond you, like just to be there? Because a lot of times he seemed like he could have kind of taken it or leave it or left it.
Um, I mean, I can't speak for that man, but what I will say is that, I think that he was definitely um wanting to be in the process, but he is, he's experienced with kind of how this kind of works with production, and how things are kind of go. He's kind of dealt with this before, so he wanted to kind of stay true to himself and his own process, and he didn't want to do the multiple thing if that's not what he felt he wanted to do. He wanted to focus on what he wanted to focus on, and that was kind of his strategy and game plan.
Mm.
Whether
That is an interesting strategy with Ready to Love, though, because we know
Yeah.
that if you don't date multiple, you're going to get voted off because the ladies the ladies have to decide as a group. So that is an interesting strategy. I hope we get a
Yeah.
chance to talk
Well,
to him.
well, true, but also, I mean, to not necessarily in his defense, but in his defense,
Mhm.
I kind of felt like I was the same way though, because I didn't understand ready the really how Ready to Love worked either. And a lot of people will say that, well, why didn't they know that before they went on the show? I didn't know about the show before I went on the show.
Oh, so you hadn't seen the show before?
No, I had
Wow.
not.
Okay.
So it wasn't until after I went on the show, I went and I watched it and I learned about it or whatever. But and I, I was like, well, I'm already here now, so I'm going through with it. But I quickly realized as well, this probably wasn't the the best decision to, you
Mhm.
know to do, because I'm not really with it. So
Okay. I can respect being just, not being fake. And I think the viewers appreciate that as well. I think now you mentioned I want to move off of him, but you mentioned that he had been there before. Had he dealt with production? Had he been on another show before?
yeah, he was on another reality
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's good for us to know because he definitely seemed like he was like putting up roadblocks. So that would explain that. Okay. So let's move on to LJ,
Mhm.
because you didn't mention LJ in your initial people that you were connecting with, but I did notice that he said that he got your number. You were the only person whose number he got at the pool party, and then that he did reach out to you to check on you while you were dealing with COVID and while you were kind of, while you're recovering. So, what was that like? Were you open to giving LJ a chance?
I was I tried
Yeah.
to be anyway. LJ was I mean, pretty awesome from beginning to end though. Like he definitely put forth the effort that I would have appreciated
Mhm.
if there was a romantic connection there.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, he was great. He was great.
So there wasn't for you guys. It wasn't really like that love connection because I said that in our last thing. I said I think that it feels friendly. It doesn't feel like connection. And he also seems like a kind of guy that gets along with everybody, that really is considerate. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole vibe. He's a really good person. Like he's a vibe. You enjoy his company. Like
Mhm.
I really enjoy his company. You know, whether or not there was, you know, something with us or not, I enjoyed hanging out with LJ and being around him and talking to him. He was cool.
Okay. Nice. Felicia asked, were you sexually attracted to him? And I'm going to assume, Felicia, because she just said it was more friendship vibes, that it really wasn't, it wasn't like that. That wasn't, I think you have to have chemistry and compatibility, and then that physical attraction, right? In order to make it a love connection. So there has to be
Yeah.
like that. We see each other and we like it. Then we have to have that personality chemistry,
Yep.
and then you have to be compatible, be at the same place in life and want the same things.
Yeah.
All of that.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm not mad at that. Do you think that it was on both sides, or do you think that he understood that? Because it did seem like with LJ, I wasn't really sure if he was pursuing or he was just being nice to everybody. He's got that island guy vibe that he's he's probably charming with everybody. So do you think that he was just kind of showed up the same way with everybody, or do you think that he was actually really like, feeling you and interested?
No, I definitely think that he was interested. You know, we've had conversations. So I definitely think that he was interested. You know, he did have to do what he had to do because of course that was the show. You know, and I encouraged him to do so as well. So, you know, that was something he had to do or he was gonna be going home. So,
Right. Okay.
you know.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this though. Speaking of LJ, I'm trying to move on to Sampson, but I can't because LJ has some more things that we need to discuss. You went on a group date. You were on a date with LJ and Trinika and LJ's ex. And that was a shocker. That was a shocker. That was a shocker. Were you shocked to hear? Because Trinika was happy to let you in. You guys, if you didn't see that episode or you missed that part, which I'm sure you did not, Trinika immediately asked LJ and his ex when was the last time they were together. And
Yeah.
then she went even further to ask when was the last time they had been intimate. And the ex said it was last month, which made us believe that that's not necessarily an ex. That could be like a break, or like, maybe she's on the show but not on camera. Like she's an option.
That
So what were your thoughts when you heard that they had been together last month? And then he also said, this is not necessarily something, you never say never. It could always come back. So what were you thinking there?
You know, I was just I don't know if you saw my face, baby, but I was like, I don't know if they rehearsed this before they came, but baby wasn't ready. I don't think
Yeah.
she quite understood the assignment.
Or
But
she did what she wanted to do, which
honey,
was throw
that
turbulence in.
that's exactly what mama wanted to do because even after she mentioned that they had sex or they had been intimate a month prior, I went even further because I'm like, well, if y'all are getting it in just a month further, then there's got to be some emotion still attached here. So, do you still love him?
Uh-huh. And she said yes.
She was like, yes, I do still love him, and looked right at him. She looked at him when she said that. I don't know if y'all peeped that.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
but
no, we peeped.
you peeped that? Okay. I was like, so when she did that, though, I was like,
Yeah.
she's looking now for clarity from him and confirmation from him on national TV
On
about
national TV. She's let everybody know that that was not by accident. That was
that.
definitely not by accident. And kudos to Trinika for going in.
Honey, I said when she went, and then that's when he was like, well, you know, never say, you know, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, is there any hope for reconciliation? Because
Yes.
it seems like
Yeah.
it on her end, and he's like, well, you know, never say never, never say never. LJ, no, baby, that was not the move, baby, that was not it.
I don't understand why that's my first question for LJ. Why did you bring that young lady to the show? Because honestly, we were riding with we were riding for you, LJ. I felt like, this is the nice guy. They like to say nice guy spend his last, but I have a theory that sometimes what we think is the nice guy is really the sneaky guy.
Baby girl, you know I got a feeling. That's right there. That's LJ right there, baby. He's singing and everybody draws off or something. I don't know. LJ.
That is hilarious, and we were not expecting that. I love it. I was not expecting that. Welcome, if you guys are just joining, we are talking with the very beautiful Lunie, and we are talking about her experience on Ready to Love. We have barely tapped the surface, but we had to go for that situation with LJ and the ex, and just ask her, what she thought about that. If you are just watching, make sure that you're liking, sharing, and subscribing so that everybody can hear this, because people have so many questions about Ready to Love Miami, and so we're checking in with Lunie and asking her opinion. I'm gonna pivot off of LJ because I know people are still laughing about that. Nisi says he wanted the women to think that other girls liked him. I think that he's like, there are a lot of men like that. It's like the nice guy. I'm thinking like it gives Neo vibes. It's like he seems sweet and nice, but actually every time the cameras are off, he's doing his dirty work, and then they come back on. It's like,
Listen.
because I noticed that he also was asking like Trinika and different people, well, I may have to take you home. And I was like, is
Oh, you
LJ?
peep that.
I peeped it. Oh yeah, yeah. Did
Oh,
he
yeah.
offer to take you home? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Did he offer after? Because that happened twice that we saw with them. She was drinking, and he was like, "Oh, I may have to take you home," in that island accent, right? So
Listen,
I'm
LJ so
just asking. I'm
that's
just
why the
asking.
LJ smooth. The LJ smooth. That's it. Like, I peeped that early too though. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Sampson. I think one of my favorite scenes with you guys was when you were talking about working out, right? And he was saying that he had watched you. He had seen you, I guess, on your Instagram or online or something working out, and you guys talked about that. I'm going to tell you, Luna, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, I just felt like you guys had friend vibes.
absolutely.
See, that's another two for Crystal.
You right on the money, girl. You right on that money. It,
Yeah.
it for me, it was always that way though. With Samson, it was interesting because I actually with him though, I feel like I tried maybe even a little bit more than I tried with LJ, only because I was like, okay, there's the physical attraction there.
Right.
So I feel like I tried a little bit more with Samson, but that ex date did it for me too. I was like, mm-mm.
What what was it about? I don't know why the guys chose those exes to bring to the dates. It was interesting because it's not like everything was just, and then even when even Swayze that didn't bring an ex, it
Yeah,
still didn't go well. Like those dates were bad. Those
yeah, they were, they
those
were.
dates were bad.
It was so much the ex for me with Samson. She was a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She all right, like I really liked her a lot. But for me, it was the fact again, you don't really know going into it. You don't know that there's going to be company.
Okay. Okay.
So when I went there, I was not expecting Sherese
Okay.
and Andy to be there as well.
We
Okay.
weren't expecting Brandy to be there either.
I wasn't either.
We were shocked about Brandy. I knew Sharice would be there. I kind of thought you could. I was thrown off by Brandy. I thought that was like a curveball. But I want to ask you this. Samson also seems like the very nice guy that is, you know, anybody could you could fall in love because he's so he says the right things. He's mature, right? He seemed to have a lot more maturity than some of the other guys as far as like emotional maturity, which is attractive to women.
Mhm.
But you know, it was obviously brought up that he was gifting a lot of people. It felt like he was really doing the most to to have as many options as possible.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
That's exactly what he was doing. But at the same time, in his defense, oh, let me get this photo together. In his defense, though, he was treating the process the way that I guess you're supposed to, in a sense. You're supposed to treat every person how you would treat the person that you're supposed to, that you're going to end up with, or that you would want to choose. Everyone should have that portion of you or whatever. So that's
Mhm.
kind of what Samson was on, I guess.
Okay.
He was playing the I mean, he was doing the process. He
Yeah.
was doing the process. So, and that was the way that he decided to do the process. It just, after a certain time frame, though, you kind of have to,
Where are we
you know,
going?
wheel it in at some
Yeah.
point. Thing the
Yeah.
show. You can't just have you can't keep it like this all the way to the end now, bruh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and in seasons past, guys have tried, and then it ends up they get forced. Even on this season, we see we see some of them. So Mimi asked, "What was your gift?" And I guess was it roses? He brought you roses.
When? Oh, I'm trying to remember now. I'm like, there's dates they didn't show with us too.
Did he always bring a gift?
Yeah, he did.
I
Yeah.
like I like that. Kudos, Sampson. Men should always show up with something. I like that. I like that. Do you remember any of the gifts? I'm just curious to know what, because that had to be a lot of gifts. There's a lot of people you're dating.
I think all of my gifts were flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they were flowers. There was we had one date though that we made something together. We made this little glass thing, and I have that. So
Okay. Nice. I really like Sampson. Let me ask you this: Were you had to be surprised to see Brandy?
I was.
And you said you were surprised to see Sherese, and also, are you surprised to see how far he and Sherese have gone?
I was hella surprised. I thought I was surprised. I'm surprised Sherese made it this far. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought Sherese.
I like you, Lunie. You're being real with us. We appreciate that. Looney is keeping it real. We too are surprised. I was so shocked, but
I didn't understand it. I
some
didn't. There
people
were no
like a challenge.
there were no connections. She had no connections. And so it was surprising to me. And this is what I was thinking at the time.
Okay.
She had no connections, and how did, out of nowhere, where did Sampson come from? Like, Sampson and I were connecting from day one. They don't really show that. They don't really show a lot of it. I didn't realize, I didn't understand that Brandy and him thing either, but I didn't realize that they had a connection until the picnic date. And I didn't really talk too much about our connection, but Brandy shared that Sampson was also her connection, and I was like, I didn't know that.
Right.
It was a little shocking to me, where Sherese was like, "Oh, yes, he is,
Yeah.
yes," and da da da. I'm like, "Girl, what? Since when?" It was
Yeah.
just, it was definitely, to me, that's why I said it was giving pick me vibes, because I'm like, I don't know where this came from. Like,
Yeah.
when did y'all get so close?
Well, we too were. We also, as viewers, were like, "Huh?" And I don't know if you guys talked about this in the ladies' lounge, but we did see Sherese say that Sampson wasn't necessarily her type.
Yeah,
A
like,
few
Charisse was, that's why it was interesting to me, because I'm like, I didn't think she was even, like, Charisse was into Mike. Like, Charisse wanted Mike. And
Mhm, mhm,
when that situation didn't go the way it was supposed to go, I don't know exactly what Charisse's intentions were with Justice, but she was reaching out to Justice, and you
mhm,
know,
mhm.
but for her to hook on to Sampson, I was shocked by that. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe she's in, maybe she decided, okay, that's what she wants now. But I just didn't see it coming. I
Okay.
didn't see
Yeah,
that.
we didn't see that coming either. I was definitely surprised, but I did think, and we talked about this on the after show. I think that her personality obviously rubbed a few people the wrong way initially. And Sampson is the type, at least from what we see, that knows how to kind of navigate troubled waters. So some women, if they come, we see this season, Sherese and Katie and both have a very abrasive way, right? Some guys are like, oh, they see that. Like Mike is like, I ain't with that. We know that. Mike has no minutes for troubled waters.
Yeah.
In fact, he may trouble the water and be like, peace, right? But Sampson is like, he has like a therapist. He's emotionally mature. So I like the fact that he could see past a defensive, guard, right? And eventually there are a lot of women who have guards up. There are a lot of men that have guards up, which is kind of what I was thinking about Justice. I was like, maybe he's been hurt and this is a guard up, but there are a lot people don't like jumping over high walls. So Samson seemed to be the only guy that really was willing to deal with some of the things that we saw. Now, it could be totally wrong. I'm just saying from the viewer's point, when we watched what we saw, he seemed to be the only person that could kind of deal with the abrasiveness, right?
Mhm.
Um, Let me ask you this though, because with that type of personality, when somebody is able to kind of feel like a therapist and a best friend, sometimes you don't get to really know the real them because they're so busy saying the right things and doing the right things and positioning themselves for you to fall, but you don't really get a chance to get past that wall for them. So do you feel like you really got a chance to get to know the real Sampson? Because even with the date with his ex, I still didn't really get to know more about him. From what we saw, it felt like he's he's doing everything right. So why is he here?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, with Samson, it's interesting because he was definitely the perfect
mhm,
gentleman, and the persona that he portrayed was great.
mhm,
But I don't think, I agree. I don't think that I got to know the real him. There's one, they don't show it, but there's one date that we had where I was like, I was like, I didn't know you had, a little thug in you, I see you do got a little baby in you. And we laughed about that or whatever. And it was just like, getting to see a different side of him was kind of cool. Uh,
mhm.
but with Samson, I think, if he were a little less guarded, perhaps I would have been able to, you know, see more and feel more with that situation, because there was potential there. But that his at the end of the day, his interests I found out were more in Sherese, period. So
Okay,
then
okay. So that's when is that what at what point in that process did you kind of realize that wasn't going to be an option for you?
well, that date,
That
that
date. Okay.
yeah, that did it for me. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was.
Because Sharice was very abrasive on that date. What was your response to her? Because we saw a snippet and it was really like she went in. She went like, I'm gonna make it known that I'm gonna fight
Right.
for him. And you were like with the pick me. So after that comment, where did things mellow out? Because it felt very tense after she started off that way.
I wish they had showed the rest of that. I really, really wish that the rest of that could have been shown, because she actually changed her tune. After what I said. I One of the things that I said was, I'm not gonna fight.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fight for a man,
Right.
especially other women for a man. I'm not doing
Right.
that.
Right.
And I don't think I should. What's for me is for me. And then she responded and she was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I don't mean fight. Like I'm not gonna like fight." And she changed her tune. So but
Mhm.
they didn't really show that. And
Yeah.
I wish they would have, because that would have been perfect. Because
Yeah.
why are we fighting? Like, why do we have to fight for love? Like, we shouldn't have to fight for love. Love should be peaceful, kind,
Yeah.
happiness. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have your obstacles and your issues, yeah, throughout love, but I should not have to fight other women,
No. No.
for what's supposed to be mine. Like, no.
Yeah, no, I think that you became a fan favorite that night because you did it with class, but yet you were clear, like, what? Like, what?
Okay. I said
But
what I said.
you said what you said, but I also feel like she was trying. It was competitive, right? She was trying to be competitive and say what she had to say to get the ex to kind of pick her and to
Absolutely.
think that she was the best fit for him.
And that's exactly why I said what I said, as far as it was giving very pick me vibes, because
Yeah.
it was literally to answer, and she was the first to answer. Like, it was like the ex was like, "Hey, so what do you think that, who, or what do you think you could be with him right now?" And it
Mhm.
was, okay,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we saw that. That's what it looked like to us. I'm telling you guys, when you watch the show, every time we talk to one of the cast members and they're angry about the edit, I'm telling you, even if they only took that part, because we didn't see the rest of the date, right?
Hmm.
But we got what we needed to we got
Right.
what we needed to got, which
Right.
was it was a competition. And I want to ask you this because this is another thing we talked about earlier. I think that a lot of that you can tell the difference between the people that are trying to win and the people that are really open to finding a relationship. So
Woo! Hallelujah.
it gives different energy, right? So if you're just trying to win, then you're not really caring about the connection. You just want them to pick you so that you can get to the end, as opposed to really focusing on the connection. So for you, what made you open to even doing the show? Because you did not seem like somebody that was just trying to win. So did you really come on the show looking to find love?
You know, I definitely came on the show open to find love, but to be completely honest, I was skeptical.
Okay.
I was skeptical of everyone and the process itself. I was
Mhm.
skeptical because I'm like, how are we really? I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I'm like, oh, they on TV, yeah, they, like I'm just like everybody else.
Mhm. Mhm.
The process, you don't really know who's for real and who's on that stuff. So
BS, right?
yeah, so I came into it like, okay, well, if it happens, it happens. If not, it's a good opportunity and great chance to meet people. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of, to be honest.
When was your last relationship prior to the show?
Roughly, I want to say about a year and a half, going on maybe 2 years now.
Okay. Okay. And what did you learn anything being on the show? I mean, there was a lot going on, right? But did you learn anything about yourself or what you like or what you don't like? Was there any revelations that you got just personally during the journey on the show?
Um, I don't know if there's anything I necessarily learned personally, from this experience. If anything, maybe that being open to, multiple people is not necessarily a bad thing.
Mhm.
Because for me, I usually typically focus on one person, I jump right in.
Yeah.
And that's been my experience. Now, with this experience, I dating multiple people at one time, it was a bit much for me because I just can't deal with too many energies at one time.
Mhm.
But I did learn that it is good to not just jump into one situation. It's good to kind of, see what is out there, and there may be somebody that may, be a better situation for you, especially if the person you're dealing with ain't treating you right. So
Amen. Amen. I'm not mad at that. Let me ask you this though. What about so with Justice, do you think if he had stayed longer, would you guys have continued to date?
if he had stayed longer, would we have continued to date on the show?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So
That's
that was really just that really wasn't out of everybody, it seems like that was maybe your most genuine connection?
I would say so. I feel like if he had stayed on the show, we probably would have made it, to the
Mhm.
maybe.
What about your why do you think the the friend dates with Justice, most of them did not go well? When we watched it back, what was it like for you and when you introduced him to your friends? What was that like uh, that we did not see?
That's
Because again, there must be a lot about him that we did not see because the audience was still going crazy about Justice.
so
So
it does.
I want I feel, and that's why I wish he really would come on and do an interview because I think that obviously we're not crazy. There has to be something about him because there were several women that did have connections with him, right? Even after we saw some of the going back and forth. So what was it like for you guys, in that process, especially with your friends? Did they see the justice that we saw or did they see the justice that you see?
That's a great question. And me and my Ebony, that was the friend that I had.
Mhm.
We actually have a podcast too, The Hard Truth. Shout out. And we're going to be talking about that as well on our podcast because people are coming for her on Twitter because she was Justice, and they don't understand that she doesn't know. She didn't see any of the previous shows. She doesn't know
Right.
anything about him other than that date, and they do not show literally any real parts of that date. Uh,
Yeah. Because
as
we saw the ones that with the with the other young ladies where the friends were like, da, da,
yeah,
da, da, da. So,
like
yeah, so I'm like, well, is he making bad impressions? Why
not
is it
not again. I don't experience those things that those other people experience, and my homegirl will tell you. She asked both of them. That this is one of the things that I think is interesting that wasn't shown. That
Mhm,
she asked both of them what other connections they
mhm.
have.
Okay.
She asked Justice and she asked LJ. They only showed LJ's response with the him and Trinika, but
Right.
responded as well, and he responded, "Looney is my only connection." Uh,
Oh man, I wish we had seen that. I
yeah,
do wish we had seen
and
that.
that would have been something kind of important to see, but you don't see that.
Yeah.
So
Because that
uh,
also would explain with Justice, it would also explain why he responded to the other ladies the way he did. You know what I mean? Because we were just like, what is happening on the day on his date with Trinika? I was just like,
Exactly. It's it's that was hilarious to me. That was so funny to
it
me.
was off the chain. It was off the
But
chain.
yeah, and it's crazy because it's like you don't get to see that. You don't get to see our date. We actually had a date, a one-on-one date, not a group date. Me and
Okay.
alone. We had a one-on-one date, a basketball date, and that was a great date too. They don't show any of that. He shared a lot there. He shared a lot with my friend about me and how he felt, and you
Oh
know,
yeah, I wish we could have seen that because I think we have not seen any of that.
none
What
of
we
it.
have seen Justice do is be very, but it makes sense if he wasn't really into them. His his date with Jamala, like classic. It was hilarious.
He was.
That was it was hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But it was clear that he wasn't there seriously trying to be connected. So the answers that he was saying, I'm just like, this is like somebody that's trying to turn the other person off.
Right.
It was out of control. It was out of control. Did you have any of those? Because he was like he doesn't like to spend money. He does. Did you see any of that?
I mean, we went on a we he took me out after the we gone out
So
after
no, the answer is no. You have
like,
none of that. People are
I
asking,
I don't know.
are you all still dating? You probably can't tell us because we have to watch the reunion, but something is definitely happening.
Yeah, we are
Yes.
friends, and that you guys got to stay tuned, to the reunion,
Yes.
um understand,
Okay. Well, we
There-
definitely
there
stay
are layers.
tuned.
You don't just assume, that he is one way just off of, one, you know,
Yeah.
situation with him. He's definitely has multiple layers, and you don't get to see a lot of, how he expresses and the other side of him. You don't get to see a lot of it. And it's sad because it would have been nice if they showed it, but they didn't. So
Yeah. Well, it would be nice if they showed it, but it also would be great. Hopefully he will, he'll talk a little bit more. I know that the reunion is coming soon. But there's a lot, so there's quite a few couples that people don't believe are real.
oh gosh. They don't believe are real.
We
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
No, we don't believe. And some of the people that are still on the show that are still dating, people don't believe it's genuine, right? So I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to put you on the spot too bad, but I'm going to ask you out of the people that we do see still there,
Mhm.
Sherese, Sampson, Katie and Swayze, Mike and Brandy. Um, I think those are probably the because Trinika and LJ Lee, yeah. But yeah, so Mike and Brandy, Sharice and Sampson, and Swayze and Katie. And are you rooting for any? Are there any of those couples that you're rooting for? And well, no, Randall and let me not Randall and his connections. Let's just say that. I'm not gonna, let's just say Randall and his connections. Randall has a lot of connections. Is there anybody that you're rooting for that you're excited about, Looney?
Yeah, definitely. Mike and Brandy, I feel like
I do believe them. We do
they
believe
rock
them.
from day one.
Yeah.
And stay tuned and see how everything, turns out. But I'm definitely rooting for them. Uh,
Okay.
I'm definitely rooting for Randall, and Jamala. They have also been connected since day one, and they don't really show how deep of a connection they actually have. And,
Okay.
on the show, they don't really get to, really show that as much. So, but stay tuned. I can't share too much.
No, we don't want you to share too much, but let me ask you this. I know you said you and Jamal are friends. From what we see, um, with Randall, first of all, Randall has a lot of has a lot of fans, right? So Randall had a connection with Trinika. Randall has a connection with Jamala. Randall also, he just has
I
there's a
didn't
lot going on around Randall.
really see a connection with Trinika. Like I didn't see that. I didn't see it on the show while I was on the show.
What
I just
about
didn't
Kayla?
came from. to
Did you
be.
see Randall? Did you see Randall and Kayla have a connection?
I did see Randall and Kayla, have a connection on the show. I did see that, but I just didn't see like to while I was on the show and going through the show and ladies' lounges and all of that kind of thing. It was, to me, it appeared like the stronger connection was obvious.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, I think that we see that. I think the only thing that we see is that maybe
oh,
Jamala is.
y'all don't see that, but
No, well, we see that we obviously Randall. I feel like men are what they're initially attracted to, and what they say is usually what they mean, right?
right.
Women are able to kind of like, okay, I wasn't really attracted to him at first, but if he treats me like, and I can get used to it. Guys are like, that's it. And I'm not gonna. When Randall saw Jamala, he was like, that's it. So I picked that up. I picked that up. But I feel like from what we are seeing, it's like Jamala is really like pressing him a little bit, like the olive juice and all. It feels like she's more of the aggressor in the situation. Now that could just be what we're seeing, but from the way it's presented, that's the way it looks, right? So we're even, yeah. So I'll say that.
Well, that's one of the reasons too why it's like, okay, again, it's hard to tell people, because again, when you're looking at something, you're putting it together how it is. You
Right.
don't know the behind the scenes. You don't know the what's really happening. So I can understand, the way it looks, but
Yeah.
when you're there, and I can say, just personally speaking for myself, Randall was definitely
Yeah.
actively pursuing
Okay.
Jamal.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I can't speak for nothing else, and y'all gonna have to wait and see what happens,
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
But Marlo is absolutely being pursued, which is the only reason, she was as reciprocating,
Gotcha.
you
Okay.
know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I wanted to ask you that because we only see a certain thing and they're also telling a story, right? So I'm just gonna say some other names and you can say yay or nay or not. Um we already I'm not gonna say Sherese and Sampson because I kind of feel like I know what you're gonna say. What about Katie and Swayze? Did you see their genuine connection?
You know what? They surprised me because I didn't at first.
Okay.
I really, really didn't at first. I didn't see that coming a mile away. Uh,
Mm-mm. Me neither.
yeah, not a mile away. But their connection, as time continued on, became really, really solid, and that was on Cadian's basically only connection, and
Yeah.
became Swayze's only connection. So
Yeah. I was surprised that Swayze didn't have more connections because I think when people first saw him, we thought like people were like, "Oh, he gives player vibes," but he didn't really. He ended up being like
that
all bark and no bite because he didn't really give player vibes. He really actually seems genuinely like not the energy that people were assigning him.
very, 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 very true. I was shocked by that as well, because I didn't necessarily think he was like the player vibe, but I didn't think he was as good as of a guy that he really is a good guy. Like, he's
Right.
a good guy, and you don't
Yeah.
think first meet him. Like, you judge him off of how he looks and the muscles, and you think
Yeah.
he's out here, but he actually is a really, really good guy.
Nice. Well, I think that's a good lesson for us ladies to know because I think people assumed, I think, in fact,
Yeah.
there were a few people that said, like, he gives me player because he is a very attractive, man. And, he's a fireman. It just
Yeah.
feels so stereotypical of like, we know
Yeah.
this is going to be, but we shouldn't do that. We have to give people a chance to, I mean, and you could get somebody that's a good guy and fine, you winning.
That part. And baby.
A win. We like that. So I actually really like his personality from what we've seen. I still am kind of surprised by his connection with Katie, and just because we see a different side of her than he must see, but they obviously
It,
okay.
it was for them, though. The reason it was surprising for me, is because they seem to be opposite.
Yeah,
Kate, that fiery, feisty, you
yeah,
know, type of personality, and Swayze is just kind of that goofy, entertaining, like
mhm,
laughy, like kind of guy. So for
yeah.
them, kind of, that, but maybe that works. Opposites do
Yeah,
attract.
opposites
They,
attract. It's like it balance each other out. I mean,
that,
you just never know.
I
Yeah.
like the word balance.
Let me ask you this, because Stay Tuned Review to ask about Shakira. There was that I felt for her. I think she's a sweetheart. She's absolutely adorable. I hate that she went so fast, but I also felt like she really wasn't. It just wasn't a good fit for her. Do you feel like that? You know, when you watched back what happened, and there was like a conversation in the ladies' lounge. Do you think that Kadian was trying to be hurtful to her? Do you feel like that comment was meant to hurt her? It was inappropriate.
Not at all. I don't think, and I don't know Katie and like, personally, like that's my girl. And I know how, if she was being malicious, but from getting to know her, I don't think she was being malicious. I don't think that she was intentionally trying
Yeah,
to hurt her feelings intentionally. I
yeah,
really don't. I think that Shakira is just very sensitive.
mhm,
And she took something without even having a discussion with her. She took something and ran with it, and what, instead of just having a conversation with her and letting her know directly how she felt, she just she acted the way she acted. And I don't think that that was
yeah,
everybody things the way that they need to handle things. That was the way Shakira needed to handle things, and that's how she chose to do so. But I
yeah,
don't think it was intentional from Katie. And I mean,
yeah.
I could, but I just don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I just felt like Shakira had a lot of hurt that was very close to the surface, so she kind of took things like
Person,
she probably just needed
yeah,
to heal a little bit, a little bit more because she definitely had a lot of hurt that she's experienced, but but it was just closer to the surface. Most people need to heal a little bit more,
yeah.
and TV will bring it out because if you got cameras on you all the time, it's definitely going to draw out if you're not in a good place. Um, what so I guess another question I had about Mike, and you see the triangle with Mike and Kayla and Brandy. Katie also has talked about it, has gave her 2 cents on that. But did you guys see that triangle? Because it seemed clear to us that Mike and Brandy's connection was like from the jump. Did you guys are you guys aware that that connection was also happening, and did that feel like he was kind of Mike might have milked it a little bit or maybe milking it a little bit far, or what was your perspective being there in real time?
Well, you have to understand this is a process,
Mhm.
right? And in order to stay in the process, you have to what? Deal with multiple people.
Absolutely.
And even if you have a super strong connection, you still have to deal with multiple people, or you are at risk of going home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the reality. So we have to understand that there is again no denying he and Brandy's connection,
Mhm.
which again was from day one,
Yeah.
and and stayed strong from.
Mhm.
So enter in Kayla into this situation. I mean, it's to be expected. This is the process.
Yeah.
But him entertaining that situation, if he didn't, he would be home, and there would,
Yeah.
would be no further conversation of Mike and Brandy, period, because he didn't entertain anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's true. That's true. I think it's unfortunate, but like in the words of Whitney Houston, for every win, someone must fail. So just
oh,
because, it's just part of it. Another question I had, and I don't know if you were around. I don't think you were actually on this date, but Sherese and Zoe, that ended, that was probably one of the most explosive scenes on Ready to Love, period, with him calling her fake AF. And then he did not have a graceful exit. He did not was not graceful at all. It actually was probably one of the worst.
yeah.
Um, do you think that Zoe got a bad vibe? Because I was surprised to see him that angry. We didn't get to see much of him. I kind of felt like he and Katie and seemed like they were cool, but I wasn't expecting him to go off like that because he and Sharice, it was a lot.
It was
Were
a
you
lot.
surprised? Yeah,
I
were you
was
surprised when you saw it?
very surprised. I didn't. I heard about it when it happened,
Okay.
and when I heard about it, I was like, "Dang! I don't even understand how it could get there. I don't understand." But at the same time, Zoe was over it.
He was over it.
Zoe was over it. He was over it. He heard her say that they was gonna barbecue his behind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he definitely knew what time it was, and he was over it.
Yeah. I kind of felt like just from what that we for her to say that, and then she made it seem like he was threatening her. I didn't it didn't seem like he was trying to hurt her. It seemed like he just was over the BS.
It was definitely giving exaggeration.
Yeah.
It's definitely giving exaggeration. And even when I heard about it in the ladies' lounge, and I was like, "What? For no reason?" And she was like, "Yeah, you did." And then I watched it back, and I was like, "Okay, it wasn't all, it wasn't. He wasn't about to take your head off with that pool stick."
No, he wasn't like coming at her with the
Yeah.
pool stick. And I feel like as for women, I say this all the time, like if we're gonna poke, 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 and then you get that, you can't be like, oh no, you got to protect women. He's like,
Well, yeah. I mean, that is true, but I will say also, and I also said this. They didn't show this at the ladies' lounge, though. I still feel like he was doing team too much because for him to, that there's cameras,
yeah,
being filmed. So for you to be hollering and screaming at this woman
yeah,
because she said, you know what I'm saying? To me, that was
mhm,
still giving very immature,
yeah,
very you act your age, sir, type of
yeah.
vibes. So
Yeah.
that's
Say
still
Soon said Zoe nearly ran over and injured Shanika. He was doing a lot in their group date with the aggressiveness and the competition. Like I said, it's two types of people on Ready to Love. Either the ones that are competing, and the ones that are competing will bulldoze the ones that are not. And Zoe was definitely there to compete. I hate that he did not leave with more grace, because Brandy wasn't trying to do anything but have a conversation and hear his side and do what she was supposed to do. It's not like it was a setup on her end. So I appreciate you being honest about that. I wonder, like, from you guys' perspective, what are you thinking? And is there stuff that we don't know that goes on? Because you guys know what is happening a lot more than we do. So that is pretty much most of my questions. I definitely look forward to this reunion, ma'am.
yes. Gotta stay tuned for that. That's gonna be epic.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Can you share with us, like, what has your experience been watching the show, seeing the comments, and seeing people kind of comment on what you're doing, and kind of give their feedback on your love life? What has that been like?
It's been interesting. I try not to dwell in hate, and hateration too much.
Yeah,
It's interesting. I do realize everyone has an opinion. One of the things I'm taking into consideration, which is helping me, is also being empathetic to the people who are making comments because they don't understand. I used to be in the same boat, like watching loving hip hop and watching reality shows and making comments and assuming somebody, or even just taking a stance on someone, or I don't like this person, or I don't like that person, just off of what you're seeing on TV. I realize now. So I am a little empathetic to the people who are watching, like, okay, they don't know. They
yeah,
they don't know. They don't understand, you
yeah,
know. So I mean, I take it in rolls off my shoulder now.
yeah.
So
Well, that also just speaks to your maturity. That takes maturity to be able to let it go, and especially when people are, because people get very, very, very passionate, because I think people see themselves in this show. I
yes,
do have one last question that was kind of like a little bit of a controversy, because I had what do we had April on the show, who I liked a lot. I like all the ladies. I think everybody has their thing. And even with Sherese, I know people are giving her a lot of flack, but a lot of people are hurt. And when they're hurt, we put up defenses, and then a lot of times you don't know what your defense will look like until you see it in, live and in living color. But I
man.
do want to ask you, people in the comments were talking about the show, and a lot of the guys maybe not necessarily dating within their race, which is a uncomfortable conversation for us to have, but it also is just real life. And so when that conversation happened with Swayze and Kadian about him dating
Like,
outside of his race for like the past 3 years, first of all, I had to give her credit for still being open to having a conversation with him and not totally Xing him out because of that. Her friends definitely were over him, and a lot of the viewers were over him. But some of the viewers have just said a lot of the men they felt like weren't necessarily into us, into African American women. Did you get that vibe or that feeling? Did you know where that energy is coming from?
I definitely agree with that. In Miami, that's a thing here. I mean, it's a big thing here. Especially with certain caliber of men.
Oh,
They're not checking, for the Browns.
mhm,
And that's just a reality. Now, hearing the whole Swayze situation,
yeah.
rubs me the wrong way. When I first heard it, I was like,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was not cool.
Yeah.
And especially if it was intentional, you know.
Right.
Okay, you meet someone, okay, whatever, that's one thing. But if you are intentionally deciding not to date black women and
Mhm.
excluding black women, I have an issue with that. I have an
Yeah.
issue, period. I don't care. But he did, in his defense, he did explain that that's not what he meant, that's not what he said,
Yeah.
that was not the case,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, he did, and he mentioned that he has a daughter with a black woman. I think we have to just be people should be honest, and we also have to realize it doesn't sound good to hear, but everybody has a right to their preference. And if there's any women that, well, I don't want to say come here because Atlanta we are full, but we, we are full. But Atlanta and Georgia and DC and Chicago, there are so many amazing places where you don't get that energy. You know what I mean? Like it is like black women are just kings, in a lot of other places. So it's weird for us to hear that that's a commonality, there in Miami. So maybe all the beautiful black women in Miami should, again, Atlanta, we are full, but I believe that Chicago and DC are open. Open because DC obviously has some opportunity. But I just wanted to ask you that. Did you get that vibe from the other guys on the show? I think even Devin kind of got that vibe a little bit from
Dev
Devin.
I definitely got that vibe from Devin. I forgot about Devin, thanks for mentioning.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely got that. I meant to mention Devin too, because when I forgot about him at the mixer. He was also one physically I was attracted to at the mixer. He was a little short, but I was still like, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, he's definitely one I think that's into to light it brighter.
yeah.
uh and Samson's comment, I didn't realize that he made this comment until I was watching it, but he was saying something about he prefers a woman with struggle, and that's usually women of color. Um, mm, I don't think, knowing Samson, I know that's not what he meant.
Hmm.
I understand that wasn't the,
Yeah, I
that's
don't like that, but I feel
all
like with
wrong.
him, he probably was just trying to be. I don't
Malicious.
think he's not trying to be malicious, but no, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, no, that was not it. I was like, oh, damn, no, that's not it.
Yeah,
But I know what he meant, though. I know what he was trying to say. That just
yeah.
didn't.
I feel like he was trying to give himself explain he and Sherese, honestly, because I just take it as he's trying because obviously when you look at the show, he's such a nice guy and he's such a catering and nurturing person that of course I'm sure the audience is not abnormal for thinking like how is that working, right? But I also think, there are a lot of women, what we're seeing in Sharia, we see ourselves in the show. And you can see a little bit of yourself in all the different ladies. So I'm not saying that to beat her up because I feel like there's a reason and we're getting one side of her. But I felt like he was trying to say that to kind of explain or why there was that interest there. I could be wrong, but that's just my take on it. So but I appreciate so much, Looney. I've enjoyed you tonight. I've kept you a little late, but I appreciate you being patient and answering questions about the experience. Like I said, again, I just want to really say to you as woman to woman, like you're you carried yourself with a lot of class and a lot of grace, and that's good to see. Like we gotta have some drama, but we also gotta have some sisters that are mature and can make us look good, and you definitely did that from day one all the way through. So
Thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate that. That means a lot.
definitely, well, you did. I mean, we're just saying what we saw. You definitely showed us, and trust me, the cameras are gonna pick up you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So editing just gets you. It
Yeah.
may get you when you don't like it, but how you handle yourself when stuff is hard really tells who you are. So you made us look good and we appreciate that. I know love is coming. I have a feeling that we may be hearing from you soon. I'll be tuned into the podcast and please come back and share with us after the reunion because we definitely trust me, we got some questions for you.
Hey,
We're gonna put a pin in until after the
how you
reunion.
gonna have questions then, boy? Lord have mercy. Okay.
But thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Monday night. Remember, I'm going to send you this broadcast. But again, everybody watching, Lunie included, if you would like to be a guest, to be my special guest at the night tour, make sure that you hashtag right there in the comments the night tour. Let me know who is your favorite. I'm going to tell you guys, Joe, and he had a single called Good Girls that probably like was my favorite song. I'm not going to say what year because that's going to date me really badly. But yeah, Joe is the man. I love all of them. You can't say R&B is dead when you got Fantasia, Maxwell, and Joe on the road in Jacksonville, Florida. So it's not far from Miami. It's not far from Atlanta. It's central to everything. And there's a great location there. So make sure you guys hashtag. I will be announcing the winner later this week. So again, thank you to Lunie, and we're going to bid her goodbye. And I thank you guys all for watching. Keep those comments coming in the chat. And I will see you guys on Friday because we're going to be recapping Ready to Love. I got a couple of friends coming to join me, relationship experts. We're going to talk all about Ready to Love. So thanks to Lunie. You guys have a great week.
Lunie out.
Bye. All right. Thank you guys again. Yes, I want to know. I want to know is another one of my favorite Joe songs, and All That I Am. There's so many beautiful songs. Definitely make sure that you use that hashtag the night tour. Let me know what you think about that interview with Lunie. Again, I do think that she and Justice are still together. That was a good call. The chat had it going. You guys, I definitely think that is that's still there. So I'll have to check out that reunion. We know that's coming, but right now we got more Ready to Love. So we're going to check out Ready to Love on Friday at 8 as always. And then tune in here at 9 p.m. I'm going to be here with my good friend Opulence and another couple of relationship experts. And we're going to get all up and Ready to Love. So I will see you guys Friday. All right. Have a great week.